I bought it the weekend of Oxygen 2007. So I saw it on, I needed a car because I was driving an old Polo, my first car. What I really wanted was an RS4 at the time, but I was like 21, so I obviously couldn't get one of them, but I just wanted a four-wheel drive estate car. Also, I was in a band, so I needed something big that you could put drum kits and amps and guitars and all stuff in the back. So I went on eBay and I was just looking around and I saw that. ENO3EET was the reg. It was based up in Newcastle. And my dad was over and back to the UK all the time anyway for work, so he was just like, I can go look at it, but there was only a couple of days left on the auction. So I just kept on bidding, and I just bought it on eBay, sight unseen, just got it. And so then Dad went to pick it up in Newcastle, brought it home, and got myself a four-wheel drive estate car. It was 91,000 miles on it when I bought it. So it was a Repmobile. It just spent all its time just going up and down the motorways in the UK. I actually still have in the booklet the guy's fuel cards. It's all there, like. I've been everywhere in this. So back in the last recession around 2009, I got made redundant working at a bank, and they gave me the offer to just like, listen, do you want redundancy? And I was like, yeah, obviously. So I just got in the car, got a boat to France and kept going north. So I spent a couple of months just driving up Northern Europe, went by myself, just went all the way up the east coast of Sweden, all the way up to the most northerly point of Europe, which is Nordcap, in the middle of winter. So this is in November, December, January kind of time. All the way up to Nordcap, sleeping in the car, pretty much living in the car in the middle of winter. And then I stayed up there for a while, then I drove all the way down the west coast of Norway. And then I rang my mate who was in college in Spain at the time. So I drove all the way down past Barcelona into Zaragoza in Spain, and then a bit more south of there. So this is all on the one trip. So I've been a few places. It's been around the Nürburgring a handful of times. Took it to Le Mans, just France on various driving holidays as well. During the whole Arctic Circle trip, I had to buy like one of those Arctic spec sleeping bags because it's minus, I think I saw minus 35 at one point. And I was just sleeping in the back of the car, so I had to buy an Arctic spec sleeping bag just to keep me warm in the car. And then I arrived in Malmo in Sweden as well, and I had to buy, I just went into a Volkswagen dealership and was just like, can I have some winter tires? They were like, they were just like, yeah. So I slapped them on, and then what they did as well, so they kept my normal tires that they put on the wheels, and I said, listen, I'm going to be back in like maybe a couple of weeks, and they were like, grand. So usually what they do is they have an exchange thing over there where you can put your winter tires on and they'll hold your summer tires, and they'd have a code and a big kind of storage area. But for my tires, they just wrote Ireland on them in chalk and just put them in the corner of the garage in Malmo, the Volkswagen dealership in Malmo. And then when I came back, they were just like, yeah, and I had my tires there. And it was pretty good, like, amount of people just looking at your reg, because you have to get all the boats across the fjords in Norway. And I came across a police check when I was in an army checkpoint, actually, at one point, pretty high up. It was outside Tromsø, I think. The guy just looked at me and goes, are you from Ireland? And I was like, yeah. You just saw the reg and like a good few stairs, which I suppose is a good thing. But yeah, I've been everywhere, a few driving holidays in France, as I said, Nürburgring, Le Mans. Yeah, it's been around, things done maybe 3 or 4 laps. 3 or 4 laps at the Nürburgring in it. That's pretty well where I've been in it. And then obviously all around Ireland as well. I used it extensively when I first had it. Like I was doing, like when I first got it, I was doing easily 30-40,000 miles a year. 225, yeah, so I've put, I don't know, a lot of miles. Yeah, so it was 91,000-ish when I got it, and now there's 225,000 miles on it. And I'd like that to be a lot more, but like I've got another car which is kind of my main car, so I don't use this as much. I was also in college for a while, so I wasn't really doing the mileage that I would have been otherwise. And I just have a thing for just like utilitarian four-wheel drive estate cars. I think I paid about maybe £7,000 or £8,000 for it, I think. The VRT was 30% of that, so what's that, like £3,000, give or take? It has to be OEM plus, or I essentially had to make it the car that Volkswagen should have made it. There's no spurious parts on this car except for the sump guards, because it's low, so it goes through that. The driver's window, which got smashed at a break-in, and I think one of the bulbs is from Halfords. They're the only spurious parts on the car. Everything else is OEM. Has a Volkswagen Audi stamp on it, or like filters, oil filters, fuel filters, they're Mal or Hengst, which are essentially OEM. So on it, it has H&R coilovers, excuse me. So it's a H&R coilovers, they're obviously aftermarket. I bought brakes for it, which they were sold to me as S4 brakes from a B5 S4, but I don't think they are because they don't look the same. So I think they're from a 2.7T all-road up front. So that upgrades them from 280mm up to 345mm discs in the front, with a huge big sliding caliper. So I had to change the uprights and the lower suspension arms for that. But they might be from a B5 S4 because for the first year of the B5 S4 they used a different type of caliper, which might be that one, but I don't know. Then on the rear it has Audi S4 discs, so they're upgraded, they're a larger diameter, they're 310mm diameter up from I think 205 or something, and they're vented. And then I have the calipers from the W8. Pretty decent stopping power all around. What I really wanted was an RS4, or they did a 4-litre W8 version of that, which is for me is the holy grail car, like, because it's just such a strange thing. But obviously I couldn't have one because there's only 70 right-hand drive manual ones of them in the world. They're just so hard to come by. So I put the W8 exhaust pipes on the back. Again, that's just this has the same exhaust system as the W8. I put that on the back and I had to get the proper skirt for it as well, which again is all genuine Volkswagen parts. They all have a Volkswagen stamp on them. But I got the one with the parking sensors because it just brings the bottom of the one down, but then I had to plug the parking sensor holes with something, but this car doesn't have parking sensors. So what I got was they're trim pieces off the seats of an old VW Type 25 van that they just stick right in. They're not actual parking sensors, they're just bits of trim off an old van that my dad had. Because it's four-wheel drive, I go snow hunting in it every year because I'm from the Wicklow Mountains. So, and it's great in the snow, like it's unstoppable. It's a no expense spared car as well. So to give you an example of that, I had to do the tracking on the rear driver's side wheel. It was just, it was towing in for some reason, I've no idea why, but it was seized. So I just rebuilt the entire rear suspension. Again, with brand new VW parts. And then now the front tracking's out as well, and the track rods are seized as well, so I'll be doing that to the front before this time next year, I would say. I owned it for 14 years. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, I've had it for 14 years, and now this is like I'll never, ever, ever get rid of this car. Loads of little things about it, like the rear wiper motor I had to replace there recently, but I didn't want to get one from the UK and pay the VAT on it, so I had to get one from Germany. So now it sits on it's for a left-hand drive car, so it sits on the wrong side of the window. I got genuine parts, but they sent me the wrong ones, the ones for a car with fog lights. So it just has fog light front grille on one side, but with obviously no fog lights. Because I know exactly every story behind every ding, and I know exactly where they came from. Apart from this one here, that was on it when I got it. I don't know what it is, but it's part of the buzz, so I keep it. Like the wing mirrors are like that, and that'll start rattling at about 80 miles an hour. But it hasn't come off yet.
Fixable.
But I'm not going to fix it, like. It's
Battle scars.
It's like I refuse to do any body work on it, respray it at all. If you got a scar on your hand, would you get cosmetic surgery?
No.
Well, what's the issue with this then?
My hand doesn't rattle.
But at the same time, okay, it might be scrappy on the bodywork, but it gets serviced once a year, so that could probably be realistically every 3,000 or 4,000 miles, and it gets serviced with like proper Castrol edge oil, and I'll do fuel, air, every single filter, and it gets done, and it has a full service history across the 225,000 miles. I've serviced it there a couple of weeks ago, and I've run out of space in the service book. And the first 4 years of it are VW, like they're dealer services, and I think I've got 2 or 3 dealer services since I bought it as well, and the rest is just either done by mechanics I trust or by me. This is never going to be for sale, and it's far from perfect, like, but I don't want it to be perfect. You know, it needs, like, as I said, the tracking's out in the front because the things are seized. Because it's 4Motion, the bearings in first and second gear go. I'm rebuilding the entire rear diff. I'm going to rebuild the entire gearbox. I won't get replacement ones because they are not original to the car, so I don't want it to become a kind of a Trigger's broom. I want it to be like all the parts that came on it out of the factory. The turbo probably hasn't got another 50,000 miles left in it, so if when I get that replaced, I won't get a replacement turbo. I will get that one reconditioned and put it back on the car. It was 130 coming out of the factory, but because it's
130 anymore.
well, because it's the 1.9, there's 130 PD that everyone knows and loves from this generation Passat, but because it's 4Motion, the engine code is AVF, so it puts out more torque. It has a different map and a different intercooler on it, and it puts out more torque. I assume it's just to handle the drivetrain loss from the four-wheel drive system. So I would say that this isn't putting out any more than 100 brake.